It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA and around the world, 866-90 Red Eye. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right. I don't want to talk about Ryan Seacrest. No, we will in a second. But okay. Let's talk about the other celebrity controversy from yesterday. I'm reading Drudge Report. Roseanne, shock. Nobody died in the Holocaust. That's the truth.
Okay.
And you see headlines all over.
Yeah.
And she was on a comedian's podcast, right?
Yeah, and she was being sarcastic.
Yeah. And it was basically, Biden got 81 million votes in 2020.
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
And the Holocaust never happened. That's
right.
the truth.
Exactly.
It was
she was making the absurd point through sarcasm.
Yeah. And
if you were actually not taking it out of context and put it in the context that it was in on Theo Vaughn's podcast, then you know exactly the point she was trying to make.
Right.
But the world loses their mind.
You know, I think of the one time that happened to me, and it was only a few listeners, and I was doing a midday show, and I think the Oscars, it was the day after the Oscars, whatever, and, when you do a show and, I was right after the morning show, so they bring you on the last portion of the morning show to talk about what you're going to be talking about on your show.
Right.
And so, they were all into the Oscars, Oscars, how many radio stations freak out. All everybody cares about is the Oscars. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
And so I was, even back then, I was sort of cynical. And the only movie I'd seen that year was Saving Private Ryan. So it's the morning show, and they're all, so Gary, what do you think should have been the best comedy? And I went, well, I don't know. I only saw Saving Private Ryan. Did Saving Private Ryan win? Sarcastically, right? Of course, sarcastically. And a couple of listeners got upset. It's not a comedy. Yeah, it was complete and total sarcasm.
Yeah, you were making a point through the sarcasm.
Yeah, and I remember I brought it up on the air. As soon as I went on the air, I said, oops. And then the call, phones rang, and it said, it was obviously sarcasm. It's obvious. It's like, it's complete sarcasm. He goes, it was more irritation that the people on the morning show wanted you to talk about the Oscars, which it probably was.
Right.
Come on, Saving Private Ryan, then. So,
yeah, it's, but of course, Roseanne's been, the center of attention in terms of making remarks, whether it's on social media or podcast, which basically got her kicked off her own show.
Yeah.
So she's going to be a lightning rod. That's just the way it's going to be.
It's interesting because that came out just a day after I read the article from John Goodman saying he'd work with her again, and no, she's not a racist.
Right.
They said,
right. Hey, Goodman looks good, right? He's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
A lot of weight.
Not a young guy either. That's not hard. That's not easy to do.
No.
But he lost a ton of weight.
Yeah, it's it's tough for us old people to keep our weight.
Yeah.
in line.
Yeah. I mean, he was. I forget how big he said he was at his heaviest.
He was big.
350, maybe more. I mean, he was very large. But here lately looks very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and that's I'd seen that. I just thought it was interesting after Goodman said just the day before I'd seen the story where he said, he said I'd work with her again, and we might have had disagreements and things like that. He goes, but she's not a racist.
Yeah.
And Goodman, so then all of a sudden, boom, this thing comes out. And it's like, Oh, man. And then you read it, you're like, well, obviously in the context of doing a comedic podcast and being sarcastic, comedians have said a lot.
Yeah.
I won't even say worse things, because if you're using something as sarcasm in order to make an analogy of something else, whether that something else is true or not, if you're making an analogy that you believe that something, and so you're making that case, you're being sarcastic.
Right, exactly.
So, but the other thing is, you called it years ago.
Yeah, I did.
Years ago.
I can't remember how long ago it was. I've got to.
Yep.
I don't. But it was years ago.
When I saw the announcement yesterday, now I did watch. Probably, I don't know, 6 months ago when I was back seeing my dad and they had Jeopardy on. But I don't think I've ever turned on Jeopardy in my life to actually watch it. But when they announced Ryan Seacrest, I went, oh, my God, Eric, not only did you predict it decades ago, but you actually predicted it where?
On Twitter.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't decades ago.
No, it wasn't decades ago.
Okay.
It was only a few years ago.
Okay, a few years ago. Yeah. And you did it on whose?
I was responding to Pat Sajak I just happened to be on Twitter that day, and he posted something, and I saw it come up live. I mean, just right as it happened. He said, hey, trying to win a bar bet. I'm still the host of Wheel of Fortune, right? And I said, no, Seacrest is. And he came back and replied to me and said, dang it. Like, he lost the bet. And that was that. It was a fun moment. But it was clear Seacrest was going to become, eventually, the host. I think it was clear to everyone.
It wasn't clear to me.
What's funny is that when Sajak announced he wasn't, that he was going to retire, you think, okay, which way did they go with it, right? Do you go the way they did with, I think Family Feud's kind of in the tradition of what Family Feud has always been. Going back to Richard Dawson, and so I think with the Price is Right, how are you going to replace Bob Barker?
You can't, right. Is it kissing still going on the Family Feud, or did they stop?
I don't think
they're not allowed.
Harvey does that. No.
Oh, here's a question. Did they all wear masks during coronavirus?
I don't know.
I never watched any.
I don't remember. I only see clips of the show. I don't actually tune into the show. I see all the viral clips from the show.
All right. Yeah,
and so, but I think Steve Harvey is very funny. And it was right in the spirit of what they've always done.
Yes.
So then you think, all right, Bob Barker. It's kind of hard to replace Bob Barker, right? So you do Drew Carey. Drew Carey, by the way, has done very well.
Yeah, he has.
On Price is Right.
I've seen the clips of it.
Yeah, no, he's done very well.
Yep.
So then you think, all right, who do you get for Pat Sajak? And really the only answer is Seacrest. And the reason I say that is because you don't want to go in and reinvent the wheel, pun intended. You're not trying to reinvent it. You're going to have a consummate host on there that can do the job, that has a little bit of a personality. I think Sajak has is more of a comedian and a jokester and has a little more fun. I don't know. Seacrest might decide to have fun for the first time ever. But I'm not trying to trash Seacrest. He's crushing it. And he's going to be the host of everything eventually. And this is just the next step. Regis is gone. Seacrest. Sajak is retiring. Seacrest.
See, I think
Eric and Gary are leaving. Seacrest.
I think that someone's going to take that seriously now.
Right. And we're not going to be here next week. They really did leave. We're not leaving.
I was thinking Seinfeld. Because then when they can't guess it, he could insult them.
Oh, man. What? I would pay anything to see that. Just one episode. Just one episode. Jerry, really? That's your answer? Do you want to look at the board again? Do you need glasses? That would, you know what a vowel is.
Did you graduate from elementary school?
Right.
I mean,
can you spell? I mean, you just. I would pay anything to see that just one episode. But the demographics and the nature of that show, the producers look at it and you don't really want to change that.
No,
I mean,
you don't.
With Ken Jennings and Jeopardy, even though the contestant pool doesn't always live up. Sometimes these days draws a blank completely.
By the way, we would like to advise Jeopardy, nothing on the three branches of government.
Yeah.
Not.
Don't do any of that. Don't even approach that.
Nothing on the three branches of government.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unless Mr. Ferguson is one of the contestants.
You might go.
You know who I'm talking about, right, when I say Mr. Ferguson?
You might go the SNL version of Jeopardy. You might go that route.
Celebrity Jeopardy.
Where you just give them the answer, essentially. Say a letter. Any letter. Which of these words ends in Y, and then actually put the words up there. I mean, you might want to go back to the bunny slopes on Jeopardy. I'm just saying, but I think with Wheel of Fortune, you want the charm and the charisma, and that's kind of what Wheel is, really.
I'm sorry, I can't get out of my mind Norm Macdonald chewing the gum as Mr. Ferguson, Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Everybody who's ever watched it knows I'm not going to say Mr. Ferguson's first name, but Burt Reynolds. When he's just sitting there chewing the gum, I mean, he looked so much like.
Oh, he just had the mannerisms down.
Burt Reynolds, and I had seen that because I look for so much political stuff on YouTube and everything else comes up, and so Celebrity Jeopardy came up a couple of months ago and I was watching it, and then I forgot where it is that I get one of my TV services, the one with him and Dom DeLuise, the one where he wants to die.
The end.
And that's, that laugh, the goofiness of Burt Reynolds in that one where he was laughing, when he was trying to commit suicide and throwing down the pills and drinking and everything. But the whole thing is him trying to commit suicide, but with this incredible laugh and sense of humor. That, to me, always was the thing that brought out what people perceive as the crazy side of Burt Reynolds that I think you saw with Norm Macdonald on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah.
There was one of them that did it. I thought it was the closest because, and I love that movie.
That was a great
movie.
Charming right up to the very, very end.
Yes. I want to live.
He breaches the surface. There he is. Yeah,
Dom DeLuise chasing him around the beach with a knife at the end. I don't care if I give the ending away.
Yeah. It's still funny.
It'd still be funny.
Yeah. But of course, we call a lot of things politically on the show, and we called the whole Seacrest thing on Wheel of Fortune.
You did.
Yeah, well,
you get credit for that. I had nothing to do with that.
So I'm trying to find. I think my sister took a screenshot of it and said, "Did this happen?" Because she was laughing at it. I said, "Yeah. It was a fun moment." And but now, it's a moment in history. And I'm sure it's somewhere in my thread, unless he deleted that tweet. But yeah,
I was thinking too, because I was just when the whole Roseanne Barr thing from yesterday, I was thinking, wait a minute, remember when she was at the San Diego Padres game and sang the Star Spangled Banner in a completely disrespectful way?
Yeah, I grabbed her crotch and the whole thing.
It was 1990.
Yeah, 33 years ago.
That's
insane.
I wasn't even a talk show host for a year. I remember that. And that's when I just saw it now. I'm like, wait a minute. Hasn't she been always popping up my entire career? And I just looked it up. It was July 13th or July 14th or July. I'm looking at YouTube from July 14th, so I was guessing it was the day before. But it was middle of July. No, I'm sorry. I'm looking at when it was posted. Okay. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
That's not.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's not correct. But yeah, and so but yeah, 1990. It had to be summer of 1990 then.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't have the exact day on it, but yeah.
yeah. Crazy.
So
Crazy.
she's been in the news that long.
No, I mean she's been she's been a lightning rod for well over 3 decades. Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Roadside inspections all begin with the driver interview, during which the officer will gather basic information from the driver and prepare the driver for the inspection. The officer will also be evaluating the driver, determining if the driver can speak English, is under the influence of anything, has an illness, or is fatigued. The officer will ask the driver for required documents, including vehicle and driver credentials, the driver's log, and shipment paperwork. The officer may also conduct a vehicle inspection. Before beginning the inspection, the officer will take steps to make sure the inspection can be done safely. These include chalking the wheels, wearing personal protective equipment, and explaining what will be required of the driver. The driver needs to pay close attention to these instructions so that the vehicle inspection can be conducted in a manner that is safe for the inspection official. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Welcome. All right, so I'm looking here at thehill.com, and I saw this headline. I went, Americans are hiding their credit card debt, is the headline. I thought to myself, are they following some type of advice from Hunter? What are they talking about here? Americans are hiding their credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean hiding it? From whom? 1/3 of Americans with credit card debt say no one else knows how much they owe. They don't tell anybody. All right.
Well,
not hiding
is it something. Well, that's the question. I mean, since when do people go around bragging about their credit card debt?
Yeah, it's like you're trying to.
I don't think you would. I don't think people go, oh my gosh, you said, hey, that's nothing, buddy. I got $150K on cards.
Well, since 1/3 of the people at the minimum are single in this country, they wouldn't be telling anybody. They don't have a husband or wife that they share the credit card with, and so they would be telling them what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, how much they have on it.
Right.
Or keep her or him from seeing it.
Which, in today's world, is kind of hard to do.
Yeah. So the typical American household.
I'm not saying impossible.
No.
And I'm not.
What did you buy?
I'm not admitting to a thing.
A typical American household now carries around $10,000 in credit card debt.
Offender Stratocaster to answer your question.
With interest rates topping 20%.
How much?
$10,000 in credit card debt. Now, does that mean? Now, I will say this, because I don't use cash hardly at all anymore, and I don't use my debit card. So a few years back, I put everything on my airline credit card because I want to get the miles. That's all, because I fly a lot.
Yeah, sure.
So I want as many miles as I can get.
Yeah.
So when you buy everything with your credit card, you can look at it some months and go, whoa, but I pay it off. Are they saying the American household now carries around $10,000 in credit card debt that's revolving every month and paying off just a minimum payment?
Yeah. I don't know.
Wow.
So good, you know you want to listen again with our podcast, available on our app and at redeyeradioshow.com.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, so I said that 1/3 of Americans with credit card debt says no one else knows how much they owe. And I said, well, 1/3 of Americans are single. But reading further in the article, credit card debt carries growing stigma, polls suggest. 2 in 5 Americans think credit card debt is embarrassing, according to a new consumer credit card report from Nerd Wallet, the personal finance site. An earlier survey found that 1/3 of married Americans with credit card debt have not told their spouse what they owe. In the new report, 2/5 of the respondents said it would be all right to have a credit card that a partner does not know about.
Okay.
So as interest rates fell to historic lows in recent years, homeowners refinance mortgages with interest rates of 3 or 4%, a transaction that conferred bragging rights, in contrast, a consumer who takes on a new credit card in 2023 faces an average interest rate of 24%, according to Lending Tree. Wow. There can be shame tied to that, said a representative from the credit card company Nerd Wallet. I don't know why I can't say it. Nerd Wallet.
Yeah, Nerd Wallace is a guy who used to work at Fox News.
Yes. Rising credit card balances aren't just about impulse buys. Survey from U.S. News and World Report found consumers using credit cards for unexpected expenses, medical emergencies, and job loss. With the inflation, we knew that was going to be the case. More than 2 in 5 partnered Americans.
Okay.
Are you partnered?
Well, the question is, are they married?
Are you married or shacking up?
Because
Partnered
if you're not married, then your credit card debt is not tied to the other person.
Right.
If you're married, it is.
Right. So that is a huge point to be made. What does partnered mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, domestic partner can also mean roommate.
More than 2 in 5 partnered Americans said they have withheld or lied about financial information to a significant other, the survey found. Well, there's only one solution to this problem.
What's that?
If the average credit card debt is $10,000, the government ought to forgive $5,000 of it.
No, $10,000. $10,000 in student loans and $10,000 in credit card debt.
Okay, $10,000.
Right? I mean, if that's the way we're going to go, then let's just do the full amount that you're doing for student loans.
Just write it off.
They'll just write it off.
Nobody suffers. You just write it off.
Just write it off.
You don't even know what write it off means.
Just write it off.
Yeah, but they do. And they're the ones that write it off.
Just write it off.
Just write it off. I'm going to run as a Democrat down in Austin. That's going to be my platform. I'm going to forgive credit card debt.
Yeah.
That'll get more support than student loan debt.
Yeah.
And I'll say I'm going to say we're going to forgive. Wow. I'm trying to sell that one. We believe that people that didn't take out the unsecured credit card debt should pay for those who did.
Yes.
Then you blame the credit card. They gave me too much credit.
Everybody just gets a $10,000 check. Whatever you do with it, you do with it.
Everyone?
Everyone.
Just give $10,000 to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now you're going to be...
Because they exist.
Even children?
Of course.
Yes, for their gender-affirming care.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Well, we're doomed. We're so doomed. We're so doomed.
Everybody gets $10,000.
Everybody gets $10,000.
Yep.
I'll figure that out, how much that is for tomorrow's show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got to ban pickleball.
Well,
Pickleball injuries now cause up to $500 million because of injuries.
Of course. It's the pickles. I tried to warn people a long time ago.
As the pickleball craze continues to sweep the nation, healthcare costs from injuries could move up to $500 million. Wall Street analysts project the cost increase soon after United Healthcare Group, the largest provider of healthcare insurance in the U.S., announced a significant increase in hip and knee surgeries.
Yeah.
Well, on the heels of United Health's June 14th announcement, numerous health insurance companies saw their stock prices slide. Wow. While we generally think of exercise as positively impacting health outcomes, the can-do attitude of today's seniors can pose greater risk in other areas such as sports injuries, leading to greater number of orthopedic procedures.
Well, that's the thing, is that I go against the grain. I don't have a can-do attitude. I have a don't-want-to attitude.
Pickleball, hybrid of tennis, badminton, and ping pong, was declared the fastest-growing sport earlier this year by the Sports and Fitness Industry Association.
Yeah.
Participation doubled in 2022, has skyrocketed 158% over a 3-year period.
Yeah, I don't have any interest.
Between 2010 and 2019, there were 29,000 pickleball injuries among players 60 and older.
29,000. But here's the question. How many napping injuries were there in that same time period, in that same group?
Let me ask you this question, though. If there's been this type of increase, and, you know, it's funny because everyone I played basketball with, everyone that I kept in contact with, that I played basketball with in my senior year of high school, everyone has had knee or hip replacements. I'm the only one that has not.
Yeah.
And, you know, it gets stiff, but I work out like a fiend. My ankle, you've seen my ankle, and you've seen me when I get off the chair and limp down the hallway.
Yeah, right.
Because when I sit here especially if I sit here for a while, there's some days that you and I only get up maybe once in 5 hours. And if sitting here for 2 hours, all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I am old. Oh, yeah. But, and for me, it's going to have to take a lot for somebody to take a knife and put it into my knee or my ankle. I just don't want to do it. It's like I'd rather put up with, as long as I can put up with it and do the things that I want and, you know, take the heavy opiates. I'm kidding. Just like Roseanne, I was kidding. You know, I'll put up with it, but I just wonder if you look at it, if you have, because it's at the senior citizen centers, the basketball courts have all been turned into pickleball courts. The baskets are up. It's tough to go to a senior citizen center that has a basketball court and actually get time to play basketball because they set it up for pickleball constantly. Well, you think about that. If you have 29,000 injuries, but 1 million more seniors have taken it up, or 500,000. Does that make it so there's less chance of a heart attack? Does it make them healthier in other ways? Those would be the questions that I would have. What is the total cost to the insurance companies because of the orthopedic injuries that they have?
Yeah, I don't
know. I don't have the answer. That's just
would they have had injuries with other types of activity? In other words, was it a transfer over because they're doing something else? Would this have been another type of injury? It's a pickleball injury because pickleball is new.
Is new, right.
What were they doing before? And did that same group have the same amount, roughly the same amount of injuries based on similar types of sports or activities? Because if the answer is yes, then nothing has changed.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I look at other sports. For example, I will be trying to continue for another year, along with my cousin John, at the end of July in the annual family reunion lawn bowling contest. That we have, that we won last year. That I believe somebody took a video of, and I posted it. I posted it on social media.
Yeah, I'll be engaging in some water sports on the beach, bodyboarding and whatever, depending on what the surf is.
No, that's good. I mean, that's probably.
I mean, it's not very active. It's just hanging out with my granddaughters.
That's cool. You're moving around.
I may do some fishing, but that's if I get a red on the line, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm going to say, okay, you get your arms will get some.
I did some of that earlier this year, and that deep water fishing is fun. Yeah. But pickleball, I have no interest in.
No, I couldn't do it with my ankles.
Yeah,
I just can't do it. That'd be impossible.
But I am, by the way, contemplating knee surgery.
Are you really?
Yeah, I want my knees to bend the other direction. So it's kind of an upgrade thing. I just want to look at people when I walk into a place. You know? The look in people's eyes.
Yeah. Just like the wait, that's like the aliens walked in the movie with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Remember how the aliens their knees were like backwards?
Yeah. Yep, that's what I want.
That was the climate change one,
right.
Remember? Mm-hmm. Where the aliens were making the world hotter so we'd all die or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Climate change. All right, I want to end with this one, just the headline, and get your response to it. All right?
Okay,
here we go. Lynn Cheney on the problem with American politics. We are electing idiots. That's a quote.
Well, here's my response. Not anymore in Wyoming. Next. She should be encouraged that the change started in her own state.
And the reason we state that is with the whole January 6th thing, she knew.
Yeah.
She knew that she was not following the protocol that Congress should have followed.
My problem with Liz Cheney isn't that she doesn't like Donald Trump.
No.
It's that she was throwing out all reason and process.
Yep.
And joined the Democrats in what was just a futile effort that wasn't even real, the January 6th committee.
Right.
So for her to say that, sorry, you're the first in line, and the good news is the people of Wyoming aren't electing idiots, or at least at the midterm decided not to.
Yeah, because in I don't care what whether it's a court of law or a court of Congress, due process ought to be followed.
Yep.
You know, we remember this from the first impeachment when it was Gerald Nadler. Remember, Gerald Nadler told Schiff and Pelosi, I believe, you can't do this.
You can't do this.
It's unconstitutional what we're doing.
Right.
You've got to allow the other side to have cross-examination and present the evidence. They said, nope. Nadler even said that. And then somebody like Liz Cheney, who claims she's a conservative Republican, just throws that all out the window, and she dares call anybody else an idiot. And you're right. It's not about whether you support Trump or not. It's whether you support a fair process when any type of judgment is made either criminally or politically.
Yep. And she did not. She threw out the process, full stop.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. It's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I just came upon this just 5 seconds before we came on the air.
Yeah?
So I don't have an opportunity to read the entire article at all, but just the headline is enough. And if I find it interesting, we'll bring it up on tomorrow's show. You ready for this headline?
All right. What do you got?
Politicians are trying a new fundraising approach. Honesty.
That's not going to work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not going to work. Sorry.
For example, U.S. Senator Tim Scott, a Republican running for president, told supporters in an email on Monday that he's concerned about a weak showing when the second quarter donations go public on July 15th.
Well,
that means every other candidate will know how much I raised and how many supporters I have. That could make or break my campaign. I'm starting to get nervous. And they go on talking about other, the honesty that we're not fundraising well.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, we talked about it earlier. It's going to be interesting to watch fundraising for the rest of the summer.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.